YNW Melly is defying his lawyer's recommendation to be freed early, and his new release date was just announced at his court session. The media reported, today's hearing marks the first time YNW Melly publicly went against his legal team's advice. In open court, Melly was observed shouting at his solicitors.
Yes, sir.
Against our advice, our client wants to proceed.
You objected to it. You're requesting me to determine this automatic stay.
Based upon what our client has instructed us.
Since his gang affiliation is the subject of the evidence they are disputing. Melly was shouting at his lawyers, claiming he didn't give a damn, as YNW overheard. In the courtroom, Melly was reportedly cited as stating, "I don't care. I don't belong to any gang." They are unable to establish that.
924-071. Call for an automatic stay while
They were aggravators. They go to membership in a gang. There were things that the jury would have to find before going into penalty.
Not aggravator, that's the death penalty. Aggravator, that's the gang enhancement itself, Your Honor. That was charged. He was charged in committing the murder for the president of the gang, which is an aggravator in terms of the guilt.
something that they would have to find by way of an interrogatory.
Yes.
Melly doesn't care if the evidence is included or not, because the accompanying paperwork will force the trial to start in 2027, if his attorneys are successful in having it excluded. In other words, YNW Melly will have been incarcerated for 7 to 9 years before being found guilty of the crime.
You find this case to be under the most compelling circumstances. Mr. Devins, as I sit here today, has been in custody for 2,339 days. Besides Mr. Devins' cases, which I've removed, this division currently has 38 other cases, special set for trial. 22 of those are murder cases. Numerous of those are death cases. And right now, this division has trial special set in December of 2020.
The state, however, wants this trial postponed once again in order to make sure they may utilize all the evidence they want against Melly, and to ensure that YNW Melly receives a life sentence at the second trial.
And finally, Judge, just so, again, the record's clear, given Judge Murphy's order, and there would be an intent to comply with it, what the court is compelling the state to do is to go forward with evidence that has been suppressed. In other words, we would not be able to use that evidence.
You can't.
Right.
It's suppressed. That's exactly correct.
As of now, the attorneys could go to the appellant court and request that they issue a stay or place a hold on the trial, and that seems to be the only way that this trial does not move forward on the scheduled date. So if that doesn't happen, Melly trial number 2 will begin in about 2 months.
This would draw the attention of YNW Melly's mother, who would then make the ultimate choice regarding the start time of the live trial on Instagram.
What happened today is the judge has said we are not delaying trial. We will be going to trial September 10th, even though there's things that's up with the 4th DCA that has been ruled to be suppressed and not able to be used in the upcoming trial. The judge is upholding those orders. So therefore, all of basically what was up on appeal was all of that stuff, what they were using as an enhancer in order to get the death penalty qualified. The judge ordered all of that to be suppressed. So moving forward onto the new trial, the state will not be able to bring in that evidence.
Following the hearing, YNW Melly's attorneys would request a bond release until the September trial. YNW Melly would regrettably be rejected. The news reported YNW Melly's response to not being granted a bond in the Double M case. He has been incarcerated for 2,320 days without being found guilty. Now, there is a single reason why YNW Melly was turned down, and that has to do with the prosecutor's insurance policy. And allow me to clarify, to make sure Melly stays in jail until the trial starts, they created a whole evidence file, presenting the most damning evidence against Melly to the judge. The prosecutor's revised evidentiary file against YNW Melly was made public. He was unaware that he had been caught on camera confessing to Sack Chaser's murder, and Juvie had only been there 5 hours after the crime was committed. YNW Melly and YNW Bortland were captured on camera dancing in a parking lot.
Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey! The dog still turned, regardless of what happened. You already know.
Displaying absolutely no grief over the loss of their two closest pals. But then, he was filmed again without his knowledge. This time, Melly was spotted leaving the studio and seated in the back left seat, preparing for sack chaser Juvium Bortland to enter the Jeep 30 minutes prior to the crime being committed.
Excuse me, you're able to see? Yes? All right.
Prosecutors even obtained WW Juvie's mother to attest that WW Melly was seated in the back left seat, which is why the official court documents state, the direction of bullets traveling from left to right in the car supports the claim that they originated from the back left seat, where WW Melly was positioned.
Can you state your name, your full legal name for the jury?
Leon Phillips.
Okay. And are you related to one of the victims in this case?
Yes, I am.
How so?
I'm his mother.
And who is that?
Christopher Thomas.
Ms. Phillips, did you see who entered into the occupants who entered into that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Do you recognize where your son entered that gray Jeep?
Yes.
Which seat, if you can identify for the jury?
He got in the back seat on the right-hand side.
Did you recognize the individual that got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side?
Yes.
And who was that individual?
Janelle.
They would present further evidence in the courts. Many people think the Florida legal system is crooked because of what they did next, which was quite upsetting, because they succeeded in convincing WW Bortland and Mariah Hamilton, Melly's ex-girlfriend, to strike a deal with them. And allow me to clarify, before Melly's initial trial, Mariah had been hiding out of the U.S. They have proof that Melly reportedly bribed her to leave the country or coerced her to do so. She was therefore unable to testify against him. However, she was detained at the airport when she attempted to visit family after living abroad for years.
Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an international flight. Court records show Hamilton was ordered to testify in Demon's first trial in 2023.
Entered her first court appearance and promptly struck a deal with the judge because she was having a really difficult time in jail. The prosecutor replied, "If you agree to testify against Melly and tell the truth of what really happened to Sack Chaser and Juvie, then you're free to go." This was the worst news YW Melly could have received, and she accepted it right away. She would write to my village and Facebook as soon as she was outdoors, saying, "Thank you to my village. You all have my undying love. Not my plan, but God's." This is crucial since Mariah's iCloud account had unsettling evidence about Melly, compelling her to not testify during the initial trial. We call this witness tampering, and Melly will receive a life term in prison the instant she admits that this is true.
Filing 6 new charges against Demons and 2 others who were allegedly involved. The charges include tampering with a witness, directing the activities of a criminal, solicitation or conspiracy to commit tampering, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Now, a couple of those charges actually carry a life in prison sentence if there's a conviction.
The most concerning aspect is that the witness tampering allegation will be distinct from the 2M counts he is already facing. This implies that WW Melly will still receive a life term in prison even if he is found not guilty of Satisar and Juvie's deaths and only guilty of witness tampering. Even more concerning is the fact that WW Melly has been prohibited from using a jail phone by the federal government for several months. Jamie King, his mother, went on to interview the county jail for denying him access to a phone because things got so...
My son has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail, they don't give it to him.
This would ultimately imply that the federal government has proof that YNW Melly was manipulating witnesses by utilizing the jail phone. If it was a hunch, they wouldn't simply ban him from the phones because that may lead to a lawsuit worth millions of dollars. As soon as it gets really awful when you add this to what Mortland will do to YW Melly. You were unaware that on the first day of the initial trial, Melly's attorney attempted to use this against Bortland.
Those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar, and you don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two bodies, car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry.
It's YW Bortland, who was consistently lying to the federal government, as it was what YW Melly's own attorney told the judge and the federal government. It was he whose hands were covered in powder residue. And when they died, he was the last person to be with Juvian Sackchaser. To go into further detail about Mortland's hands having that powder residue, they even brought in a forensic scientist who covered the massings.
So the right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of powder residue and two component particles. And the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of powder residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was powder residue present on the hand.
This is also the reason why YNW Bortland hasn't posted anything on social media for more than a year. The same day that Melly's mistrial was granted, a report was shared about YNW Bortland tweeting an enigmatic message. Mind games don't work for me, according to the tweet. In addition, he has a handshake emoji, suggesting that he is accepting a deal similar to YW Borland's. Given that the prosecutors submitted paperwork to have Borland and Melly tried together, that is, sitting next to one another during the trial, it is possible that he consented to be tried alongside YW Melly, all for a single
issue here, and you can try them together. It is to the benefit of the state to try them together, just more efficient. You don't have to do things again and again, do it all at once, and also you get a better chance of having them incriminate each other during the trial. It benefits the defense to sever it. That way they can point the finger at each other and get away with it. So this is what's going on. But I don't think it should be automatically severed because the state is seeking penalty for Melly, because it's only the penalty phase of the trial that would be different, not the guilt phase. The guilt phase is the same. They're both capital crimes. You're seeking the penalty on one, not the other, but that goes into the second part of the trial, the penalty phase, only if Melly is found guilty.